In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Google Earth Engine with um, ipyleaflet. In the past videos, I already show you how to publish a Python package, how to create a package, and how to publish the package on PyPI and also Conda. And so right now, you already know the general procedure how to create and publish the package. Now we can spend some time trying to think about what kind of functionality do you want your package to have. So this is where most of the time that you will be spending because it takes time to actually to figure out what you want to do with the package. We already know the procedure how to do it, but now we now needs time to actually think about what we want to do. And earlier I showed you that most of the examples, some of those actually came from the GMap package. And so this is built on top of ipyleaflet and Google's engine. And so this course is basically showing you how to actually to develop something like that. So in order to utilize the Google's engine computing power, then we need to add something to the package, right? And the Geo demo package, the one that we have been using. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to get started with Google's engine and how to bring Google's engine data layers into the package, right? So just think about the early days of GMap, right? How to actually build the Earth engine functionality into the package. And I'm going to show you a quick example in this video. Okay, so first you need to already have a Python package, and then you can start adding functionality. So I'm going to go to my package repository, and it has already been, I think, under my computer. Let me see here, under my user, and then geo demo. So I already have the package. Then we can start doing coding to add some Earth engine functionality. So first you can right click and open the whatever package that you are developing. And then first of all, you might want to basically to pull the latest one in case that you have some changes on from other computers. So make sure that you have the latest changes. And once you pull the changes, then we can start adding stuff to the package. So first we want to go to the main module. So it's the same as the package name. So Geo demo. So this is the name of our package. And what we want to do here is to add something to the package. And let me open the browser. So I already have another developed branch that I already add some functionality. To save time in this video, I'm just going to copy some of the code, but I will explain to you some of the functions, why we want to add those functions. Okay, so if you click, go to my develop branch, and then if you click this one, so I have 3 modules in here, and we are going to modify these two, the common module and also the geo demo. The common one because some of the function can be used in also other packages, so we want to have some function that that can be used by multiple modules we want to put in here. If the function only belongs to can only work in a certain module, then we put in the individual module. So if you look at the first one here, is the common.py. So this is a common module that the function can be used both by ipyleaflet and also Folium. And so this is the one we add. This is basically to initialize Google's engine because you need to initialize, authorize, and also initialize Google Earth Engine section so they can utilize the data. And this is a function that we can add to the comment module. If you let me just copy all of this, and then I can explain to you what's the meaning of this module. So I'm going to go here right now because it's empty, right? I haven't added anything, so I just control and paste. The first two here, we basically add the two libraries that we need. Okay, import OS. This one is the Python built-in library, and the EE, this one is from Earth Engine. So make sure that from in your requirements.txt, you need to already have the Earth Engine API included. Otherwise, you won't be able to use this. You need to make sure that you install the packages, Earth Engine API, and also put it one under the requirements. After that, you should be able to import this one. So this function basically initialize the Earth Engine, and first we look into the environment variables. And the reason we want to use this because later if you push to GitHub, and GitHub, if you use GitHub Actions, if you want to authorize GitHub to use Google Earth Engine, then you GitHub have some way for you to set environment variables. If you already set the environment variables, then you can basically retrieve the environment variable and then to create the credential, and then it can be authorized. So if you already authorize Google Earth Engine on your computer, probably somewhere under your, I think under your username, and then there should be one here, config, right? And then Earth Engine. So this is the file. The credential actually is stored within this one. You can open the file to take a look if you want. And essentially, if you using Google Earth Engine, for example, under the settings, and if you go down to the secrets, so from the secrets in here, you can actually create a new secret, and that secret, the name would be named this one. So Earth Engine token. And come back to here, I can paste, and you need to copy the content from this file, because that one is like I'm not going to show I'm not going to show you the credentials, because that one is unique to every individual, and if you share that one with someone else, they will be able to access your Google Earth Engine account. So it's not safe. I'm not going to show you, but you can open the file and then you can copy the content and paste in here, so that later when you use GitHub Actions, you can authorize GitHub Actions to use your token. Otherwise, you won't be able to use Google Earth Engine. Anyway, if you're using that on your local computer, you don't need to do this one. I'm just showing you what's the meaning of this. So essentially, it's trying to see if your Jupyter Notebook section is already authorized Google Earth Engine or not. If not, that means right now it's none. That means it's not authorized. Then you will try to read the environment variables. So the environment variable is this one. If it is already set up, it's going to get the token, and then it's going to find whether you have this one on your computer or not. So if you don't have this one, it's going to create a file and get the content from the environment variable and then save to the file. So basically creating this one, and then you can initialize. If you don't have the environment or you don't have the credentials, it's going to authorize, authenticate, log into your Google account, and then initialize. So these are kind of a two-step, and this is a function that you need pretty much for all the Google Earth Engine sections. Anyway, so this is the function we want to add. The next one we want to add is to go to the GeoDemo module, and we want to add a new function so that we can add Earth Engine data layers, because the Earth Engine has a bunch of has a huge data catalog. We want to load the data onto the map so that you can visualize the data. So what we want to do, we want to go to the end, and then you make sure that you backspace. So the function we're going to add, the first one is to let me show you here. Go to my package, and then under the develop branch, GeoDemo, and then this one here. So scroll down to the bottom, and this is the function we're going to add. It's called tile layer, and then this will be the Earth Engine object, how you want to visualize the data, and the name of the data layer, whether you want to show the data layer by default or not, and what's the opacity for this one. So what I want to do is just copy this function, and then come back to here. Again, I mean, it takes time to write those functions, so just to save time, I'm not going to write it on the fly here. But once you have the function, right, just Control H, right? So this is the tile layer. It's trying to add an Earth Engine object and then convert it to a tile layer so that you can add to the map. Because ipyleaflet it has a function called add layer, right? And then you need to pass in a layer. That layer can be a tile layer. It can be other ipyleaflet supported objects. So once you have the function, and I can quickly show you like what we're going. What does this mean here? So the Earth Engine object, it can be image, it can be image collection, or feature, or geometry, or feature collection. And if it is not this type, it's going to throw an error saying that you can only add this kind of data layers. And if it's a feature collection or geometry or feature, it's going to convert it one to a feature collection, because add layer only support essentially 3 types. image collection or physical collection. So we can convert that one to a physical collection, and this is basically trying to how to visualize the data for vector data. And if it's just an image, then you can just directly pass it to an image. If this is an image collection, that means you have a stack of images. It's going to perform a mosaic and then convert that one to an image. At the end, everything is being converted to an image. And this one here is the key part, how to get the URL to convert it to a tile layer. So this tile layer is a class from ipyleaflet. If you power your mouse, you will be able to see, for example, in here, where does this one come from? And so the Earth engine, this is basically, it returns a dictionary. So from the dictionary, this one, the URL format gets a URL, and this is how you turn an Earth engine object into a tile layer, and then we can add this layer onto the map. So this is the function, and we can also within the Earth engine, the geodemo map class, we can also add another function, right? So let me show you in here. If you click this one, right? So these two functions, these two functions are outside the map class, right? But when we create a map, we might also want to just add a map dot, for example, add something, add layer. That would be easier rather than to create a Earth engine tile layer and then add another line to actually add the layer. We can directly use the map dot add layer directly to add Earth engine data if we want. So that would be the shortcut. And so here we can add the function to the end somewhere in here. Make sure that this is inside the map class. So you can go to the end and then backspace. So indent it the same level, just like the add strap file or add GeoJSON. Then from here you can def, for example. We can choose a name called add EE layer, for example, right? And I think within the here, I think I already also created this one already. So just like this, right? Add EE layer. I'm just going to copy this section, then come to here, just paste them here. Okay, so add EE layer, and again, if it is within a map class, you always want to put self at the beginning because this function belongs to this class, a map class, and then after that you can pass in all the parameters you want. So these are the 5 parameters you can pass in, and just like the same as the Google Earth Engine JavaScript API. Essentially, we are trying to convert, right? So this one here, this function, when you pass this parameter, it's going to call this function, the function outside the map class, and then because this one here at the end, it returns a tile layer. So look at this one here, returns a tile layer. Once it's a tile layer, then we can use the ipyleaflet add layer function to add the layer, right? So add the layer, add this layer to here, and so later we will be able to use map.add layer. You can also have another so-called alias. So you can use the add layer. You can also use the one here, add layer. The reason we want to use this is because Google Earth Engine, if you show it in here, just to make it consistent with the Earth Engine JavaScript API, because the JavaScript API use loads of function names, and if you want to use the same, that's why we use like one function. You have 2 names, right? You can have an alias, just like email, right? You can have an email, but you can also have an alias to the email address if you want. So for example, if you go to any of these, right? So the Earth Engine JavaScript API, the add layer function actually is camel case, like lowercase, and then this one. So that's the reason why it's basically make it easier for JavaScript users to use your function. So the user can use map.add layer. They can also use map.add layer. They are the same. So this one basically, these 2 functions are the same function because behind the scene is coding all of the things in here. Okay, so once we have all these functions, these 2 functions added, now we can add a Jupyter notebook actually to test the function to see if it works or not. Okay, so I'm going to come to here, and then I can go to the geodemo examples here, and I'm going to add a Jupyter notebook example. So I already developed an example here. I'm going to just go to the geodemo, and then from the geodemo examples, it's called Earth Engine Intro raw, and I can just save this one directly to my account. I'm going to do it here, geodemo example, and keep in mind it's not a txt, so you need to click in here, just hit save. Now we have the notebook example. The next one, what we want to do is to open Jupyter, open an conda prompt, or you can open your Windows terminal, and from here I can just conda activate geo, I think it's called demo, and then Jupyter notebook, hit enter, then click the examples Earth Engine intro. Then we can start going through the source code to see how it works. So first we need to import the Earth Engine API, and then also the package name, right? So our package name geodemo one. So that means I haven't installed this package yet. What we can do is to, because they although we edit this one here in the requirements txt, but we haven't installed the package physically on to the conda environment yet. So we need to come here, and you can use any conda prompt or terminal. I'm just going to open my terminal, and then again conda activate demo. Then what we need to do, pip install again -e and then dot. Okay, so that means we're going to install everything from all the requirements from the current directory, and it's going to look into the requirements.txt and trying to install everything. So I can hit enter. It's automatically got, you see here, Earth Engine API. So it's downloading the API and install it to the current conda environment. Okay, it's done. Then what we can do is to go to the notebook, and we need to restart the kernel. After you install any package, most likely you need to restart the kernel, and now it works. Okay, so next we can create an interactive map, right? So geodemo.map, and that's the map class we have been working on since in the previous videos. So that's the come from here. So we can create an interactive map, and by default it's going to use the Google map. Okay, so we can turn this one off. The background here is the OpenStreetMap. This is the one. So next, we need to initialize, right? As I mentioned to you. Oh, by the way, we need to, I forgot one thing. So come back to here. Since the command, the function, the initialize is within this module, and in order to use this function, we need to import that one here in the geodemo. So what we need to do, you need to go to geodemo. Otherwise, when you are trying to call the function, it will be geodemo.common.e initialize. So it's kind of too long. So we can do it in here from .common import and then ee initialize. So in that way, we can just use geodemo.e initialize. That means any function that you import to this one, it will be under the geodemo module. If you don't import, then you need to the package.module. So it's like one more step. Okay, again, we need to, because we make changes, we need to restart the kernel, and then we can still run all from above. Now we should be good. Okay, so if you haven't used Google's engine before, it's going to ask you to authenticate, and make sure that you have an account before you can do this one. Once it's initialized, then we can start loading Earth Engine data. So this line here is to load an Earth Engine DM, and this is how we're going to visualize the data. You can set a minimum, set a maximum, and also set a palette. And we just hit one. Okay, so once we have this, then we can call the so-called EE tile layer, right? So this is the first function that we add, and it's going to return on a tile layer. Then we can use the map.add layer. So this map.add layer, this function come from the ipyleaflet. So ipyleaflet map class has this function. If you want to know like what kind of function the ipyleaflet have, you can just go to the ipyleaflet. It can show you. You can just Google ipyleaflet and then go to the documentation and then click the map class. So from the map, if you scroll down to the bottom, here it will show you what kind of methods this map class is. So this one function is not, we didn't develop this one. This is the built-in function from the ipyleaflet, okay? But we can build the tile layer, so we can convert an Earth Engine object into a tile layer. Then we can use the map.add layer to add this tile layer. Okay, let's come back. So in here, once you have the tile layer, you need to just EE is not defined. Oh, okay. I missed one more thing. So here, import. We also need to import EE in this module because we use something Earth Engine object here, right? So EE doc something. If we don't import, it's not going to work. Okay, so go to the beginning, import EE, Control S, and again we need to restart kernel. This time it should work. We're just going to run all above. Good, and then just map.add there, right? Here you go. Now you have the Earth Engine data DM. This is just one example. Then you can load any data you want. You can load the Earth Engine data catalog has more than 35 petabyte of data. You can load any data. You just get the unique ID, feature collection or image collection or image ID. Then you can set the visualization parameters, and then you can add this one here to the map. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, this is basically two lines of code. You need to create the tile layer first, and then you can add the layer. But you can also directly use this line. It should be the same. You can just directly use this control / add layer, right? So this is the alias for these two lines of code. And if I go back to show you earlier, right? This is the reason that the same layer, if you add this one, you can also use this one. They're the same. And you can use the add layer and then just pass in. So let me restart the kernel and just run all the cell above, right? And without running these two, I can just directly run this line. It will be the same. So this is the same layer, and it's just one line. You can add the Earth Engine object visualization and then the layer name. That's it. So this is how you can load the data into the onto the map. And okay, I'm then going to control / this one because I'm going to use the Earth Engine the layer, the tile layer. I want to change the opacity. So next, I'm going to show you another example how you can make the map more interactive. Okay, so let me rerun above, and we have the Earth Engine tile layer here. This DEM layer. So next, I'm going to show you here is using the so-called ipy widget. I will show you more later in this course how to use ipy widget, but this is just a simple demonstration how you can use that. You can add all kind of interactive components to the map so the users can interact with the map. So you can, for example, you can create a new toolbar or something, and then user can click on the map to get the pixel values. So those are the things you can do, just like, for example, in using the Gmap. But in this example, I'm going to show you how to change the opacity. Okay, so let's import the ipy widget as widgets. Okay, so this is basically a shorter name. You are welcome to directly use ipy widget if you want. And so ipy widget has a lot of interactive components. One of them is called slider. So float a slider. You can set the minimum, a maximum, and also the step. So let me show you here. What does this one, right? So it's a slider. You can change the minimum and maximum, right, from 0 all the way to 1. And the step means that when you move, how much is going to change the step, right? The increment from 0.01. So what we want to do here is to link this slider with the opacity of the tile layer. So the tile layer here right now, you can turn this one on and off. but you cannot change the opacity. So what we can do here is to use this one here called widget widget.js link. So the JS link function can link to objects or to instances. And the first one here, we want to link to, for example, the Earth Engine tile layer. So the tile layer has a property called opacity. If you go to, for example, the ipyleaflet documentation, and if you scroll down here to the end, you should be able to see this one. So opacity is a value. Opacity is a property attribute of the tile layer class. So we can then basically the JS link function can link the attribute of two objects. So we want basically the slider, for example, when we change the slider, let's say to 0.5, that means we also want to change the opacity to 0.5. That means it's like 50% transparent. So, and it's just two parentheses and parentheses. So it's two pairs, right? The object, the attribute, the object, the opacity. So once you run this one, then pay attention to here, right? So this is the map layer. Now if pay attention, if I switch this one, you will see the opacity is changing. So these two basically right now are linked together. So when you use the JS link, JavaScript link is linking the layer opacity to the slider value. So the slider has a value. So anytime, for example, when you change this one, this is the value being shown in here. So if I change this, it's going to link this one. Okay, so next I'm going to show you like how to add this one to the map, because right now the slider is outside the map, right? So it'd be nice if you can add the layer, add the slider to the map. I'm going to show you more later in this course how to add more. There are a lot more interactive components you can add to the map. For now, it's just a simple slider. So in order to add something to the map, you need to use ipyleaflet, so-called widget control. So the widget control is another class. So again, you can go to the documentation. You can look at this one if you want. This is called widget control. It's very simple. You need to have a widget, and then you can add it as a control to the map. So import ipyleaflet, from ipyleaflet import widget control, and then the widget control accept two parameters. So the first one here is the widget, and so we want we want to put the slider onto the map. Then the widget will be this slider. So they come from here. You can also set the position. So where do you want to put the widget? You can put at the four corners: top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right. So in this case, we want to set to the bottom right. And so this is the control. Then you can use the map.add control to add this one to the map. Okay, so let's just execute. Now you see here, this one has been added to the map. And from here, we can just change the opacity from directly within the map, right? Very nice. And this is how you can easily add kind of a different active component. You can also have a checkbox, drop down list, all kinds of things you can all add to the map. And I'm going to show you more how to add those components. So you make the map really interactive, because by default it's basically just a layer. You can turn it on and off, that's it. But there are a lot more things you can do, because Google Earth Engine has a lot of computing power, and it's not just for loading the data. You can also do computation. And so this is things you might want to consider if you want to add more functionality to the map. Okay, so this is a simple example showing you how to load the data, how to create an Earth Engine data layer, and how to add some interactive component, for example, a slider to the map. And I hope you learn something from this video, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.